All right, in this next section, we're going to talk about the next perspective of personality, and that's specifically the humanistic perspective. And this was primarily researched and done through Carl Rogers. So we'll talk about his perspective on self-theory here as well. So the humanistic perspective is really more of a transition away from the more pessimistic side of personality that Freud looked at, and looking more at a positive side of humanistic aspects, or basically that people are generally positive and want to sort of seek out positive aspects of their life and of their personality, and we do that through these different mechanisms. This was done through Carl Rogers' self-theory. He proposed sort of this humanistic perspective here, where we looked at sort of these five main concepts of his self-theory. And these are concepts that basically drive our personality, but from more of this positive psychology side of things. So these were the self concept, basically that one is driven to basically perform to the best of their ability. They want to have a positive sense of self and a positive sense of their abilities, and they will strive to do that, and that will help shape their personality through that mechanism. The second concept is this idea of self-esteem. This is just generally people like to feel positive about themselves, and they don't want to behave or be sort of have negative feelings about who they are as a person. And so they will, again, shape their behaviors and their personality in a way to increase that self-esteem to its maximum potential. Then we have self-actualization, which is, again, the tendency basically to seek improvement and personal enhancement. So not only are we going to sort of just try to hit some arbitrary threshold, but we're always going to sort of look for that next step and next ways to sort of improve ourselves and maintain sort of constant improvement upon who we are and who we want to be. And this is, again, going to drive sort of this positive aspect of personality. Then we have conditional positive regard, which is something that we can actually give to others and help shape personality from either giving to others or how we receive from others as well. And this is really that we might have some positive regard. We share positive feelings and rewards to others, but conditionally. So it's based upon sort of, what those other people are doing in order to receive that positive regard. So they have to meet some expectations. They have to meet some criteria to receive that positive regard. It's conditional in that way. And then finally, we have unconditional positive regard, which is just that we have positive regard. We give positive feedback no matter the outcome. And this is often, like we saw in the previous slide, a big thing that parents can share and do for their children in order to give them the opportunities to grow and learn through this mechanism of unconditional positive regard, in the sense that it doesn't matter if they mess up, it's okay. They're learning and they can sort of shape themselves and who they are through this mechanism of unconditional positive regard. Rogers' self-theory here really kind of took this more positive psychology approach and used it to sort of try and explain how these concepts relate to personality formation and sort of adaptation. And so if we evaluate this sort of in the same way, a lot of this really came down to having strengths and positive associations with it as well. So we really do see sort of this positive outcome, this positive human nature, and it is generally consistent with a lot of findings that we see in psychology today, especially positive psychology. We can see also in different developmental psychology areas and just research with children that unconditional positive regard is a hugely important piece of childhood development and learning that it's okay to make mistakes, that they can develop who they are, develop their personality, and learn things through this unconditional positive regard mechanism from parents or guardians or supervisors is very important for children in developing and learning in this way. And then lastly here, some other positives are just how this field or how this approach has contributed to psychology in general, right? So one of the big things this sort of, again, moved away from is from the Freudian perspectives, we saw a lot of focus on the unconscious mind, whereas here we see a lot more focus on the conscious mind and our awareness of these different things. And so again, this is something that I think helped psychology as a whole, because we see a lot of other psychological perspectives and different theories we're going to look at on personality that do put us more in the foreground and allow us to have more involvement and understanding of what's actually going on in the mechanisms we're using to develop these different aspects of ourselves. And then again, focusing more on just the positive aspects of personality and how we motivate those personality aspects, I think was a big piece of this and an important piece of this as well.